It's the 4th of July, 1982, a day meant for fireworks and freedom. But for 20-year-old Cindy Bailey, it became her last. She steps into a car thinking she's clearing up a misunderstanding with her ex-boyfriend. Instead, she's trapped with his mother, a woman nicknamed Mean Nadine, who's about to unleash a nightmare of choking, stabbing, and gunfire. How does a protective mom turn into a cold-blooded killer? And what were her final words after 19 years on death row? Stick around, because this story of obsession, murder, and twisted justice will leave you questioning everything. If you love true crime tales from death row, hit that subscribe button and let's dive in. You won't believe how it ends. The crime unfolds, a deadly ride. After spending nearly 2 decades on death row, Lois Nadean Smith, better known as Mean Nadine, was executed by lethal injection in Oklahoma on December 4, 2001. But to truly grasp how this 61-year-old woman met her end, we have to rewind to that fateful morning in 1982. It was the early hours of July 4th, and 20-year-old Cynthia Lucille Bailey, or Cindy as everyone called her, was holed up in a motel in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. Life hadn't been easy for Cindy. She was battling addiction, bouncing between motels and raising a child on her own. That morning, her phone rang. It was her ex-boyfriend, James Gregory Smith, Greg for short. He said he wanted to meet, to sort out some misunderstandings. Cindy, hoping for closure, agreed. Little did she know this wasn't about talking. It was a setup. When the car pulled up, Greg wasn't alone. His mother, Lois Nadean Smith, was driving, her face set in a hard line. In the back seat sat Teresa Baker, a woman who seemed like just another passenger at first. They drove off, and for a moment, it felt almost normal small talk filling the air. But then the atmosphere shifted. Questions turned pointed. Accusations flew. Nadine twisted in her seat, her voice sharp as a blade. She claimed Cindy had plotted to have Greg killed. Cindy, stunned, denied it repeatedly. "It's not true," she pleaded, her fear rising. But Nadine wasn't buying it. Her anger boiled over in an instant. Wolfgang Nadine lunged forward, her hands clamping around Cindy's throat like a vice. Cindy gasped, fighting for air, clawing at the fingers squeezing her windpipe. But Nadine wasn't finished. She rummaged through Cindy's purse, pulled out a knife, Cindy's own knife, and plunged it into her neck. Blood spurted everywhere as the car sped on. No one screamed for help. No one pulled over. They just kept driving, as if this was all part of the plan. A short drive later, they arrived in Gans, Oklahoma, pulling up to a trailer owned by Nadine's ex-husband, Jim Smith, Greg's father. Jim was inside with his new wife, Robin, but Robin, sensing the thick tension, slipped out the door and left. She wanted no part in whatever storm was brewing. Inside, things escalated into pure horror. Nadine shoved Cindy into a recliner, brandishing a pistol like a prop in some deranged play. She paced back and forth, spewing threats, her eyes wild with rage. Then she fired. The first shot missed, embedding in the chair inches from Cindy's head, a terrifying warning. But mercy wasn't in Nadine's vocabulary that day. She squeezed the trigger again and again, pumping 5 bullets into Cindy's head and chest. Cindy crumpled to the floor, blood pooling around her, still clinging to life by a thread. Did that stop them? No. Greg, her own son, reloaded the gun without a word. Nadine, fueled by whatever demons drove her, jumped onto Cindy's neck, stomping down with both feet. And here's the part that chills me to the bone. She was laughing as she crushed the life out of this young woman. Once the gun was ready, Nadine snatched it back and fired 4 more shots into Cindy's head and back. No hesitation, no remorse, just cold execution. Afterward, they dragged her body into the bedroom, placed the gun in her limp hand to stage a suicide, and drove away. They left her there, discarded like trash on the trailer floor. But how does someone become capable of this? What twisted path led Mean Nadine to this moment? Keep watching, because her backstory reveals a woman who was always one spark away from exploding. Her life, from Mean Nadine to obsessive mother. Lois Nadean Dodd was born in 1940 in northeastern Oklahoma into a family that didn't offer much in the way of warmth or stability. Details of her early years are sparse, lost to time, or perhaps buried by those who knew her. But one thing stuck. By her teenage years, she'd earned the nickname Mean Nadine. It wasn't playful, it was a label whispered in warnings around town. Nadine was tough, unyielding, the kind of person who didn't back down from a fight and often started them. She married young, tying the knot with Jim Smith, and soon became a mother to their only child, James Gregory Smith Gregg. From the moment he was born, Gregg was her world. Most moms are protective, but Nadine's love bordered on obsession. She doted on him, shielded him, and woe to anyone who crossed him. By her mid-40s, Nadine's life had taken a darker turn. She drank heavily, her voice boomed louder than anyone else's in the room, and she ruled her small circle in Salisaw with an iron fist. Challenge her, and you'd regret it. Peace wasn't an option if Mean Nadine was involved. Gregg, meanwhile, was spiraling. At just 19, he was knee-deep in trouble rumors swirled of stolen guns, drug deals, and a reckless lifestyle that was dragging him down. And right there in the mess with him was Cindy Bailey. She was only 20, but her life mirrored Gregg's: addiction, instability, a young child to care for. Their relationship burned hot and fast, ending in a bitter breakup that left Gregg heartbroken. Nadine, she didn't just dislike Cindy, she hated her with a venom that poisoned everything. Then came the rumor that sealed Cindy's fate. Whispers on the street claimed Cindy wanted Gregg dead. Was there proof? None, just hearsay from the underbelly of their world. But for Nadine, that was enough. It became her truth, her justification. She didn't investigate or doubt it. Instead, she broadcast it, bragging to anyone who would listen that Cindy needed to be put in her place, that someone ought to teach her a lesson. What started as anger morphed into something sinister, a plan. And no one intervened. No one warned Cindy. No one believed Nadine would actually follow through. But on that July 4th morning, when Cindy got into that car, the die was cast. The target was set, and Mean Nadine was ready to strike. But what happened next? The discovery of the body and the shocking confessions that followed. Stay tuned, because justice moved faster than you might think. The aftermath: discovery, arrest, and confessions. On July 5th, the day after the murder, Cindy's body was found in Jim Smith's trailer. Neighbors had heard the gunshots echoing through the quiet Oklahoma air, but fear or indifference kept them silent at first. It wasn't until later that someone finally dialed the police. When investigators arrived, the scene was gruesome. Cindy lay in a pool of her own blood, her body riddled with wounds. The staged suicide attempt was laughably obvious. The gun in her hand didn't fool anyone. The puzzle pieces snapped together quickly. Witnesses recalled seeing Cindy leave the motel with Nadine, Gregg, and Teresa Baker. Descriptions of the car matched perfectly. A neighbor spotted the same vehicle outside the trailer on the 4th. Another heard a woman's screams piercing the night. Suspects were clear: Nadine, Gregg, and their accomplices. They were hauled in for questioning, and that's where things got even more bizarre. Nadine didn't deny a thing. She sat across from detectives, stone-faced, and spilled it all. "Yes, I shot her," she said flatly. No tears, no excuses, just raw admission. She was going to have my son killed. She wouldn't stop. It wasn't a plea for understanding, it was a defense, as if murder was the logical response. Gregg, sitting beside her, confessed too. He admitted reloading the gun, handing it back, and standing by as his mother stomped and shot. He never tried to intervene. Police recovered the .22 caliber revolver, spent shell casings, and blood-soaked clothes. Everything aligned, no forensics needed, no drawn-out interrogations. Confessions sealed it. Less than 48 hours after the killing, Nadine and Gregg were arrested in Sequoyah County. It was unprecedented. A mother-son duo charged with one of Oklahoma's most vicious murders, wrapped up in record time. Jim and Teresa were arrested too, though their sentences remain murky in public records. But the trial? That's where the real drama unfolded. Did Nadine show remorse? Or did her mean side shine through? Don't go anywhere. We're just getting to the courtroom showdown. The trial, guilty verdicts and sentences. By 1983, the case rocketed through the courts. Prosecutors didn't need to prove Nadine fired the shots she'd admitted it. Instead, they painted a picture of premeditation, a simmering obsession that boiled over into calculated brutality. Witnesses testified to Nadine's threats, the rumors she amplified. Crime scene photos were devastating. Cindy's body bruised, 9 bullet holes tearing through her, a deep neck gash from the knife. The autopsy was clear. Shots to the chest, head, and back. Any could have been fatal. The knife wound alone might have ended her. Nadine's defense begged for leniency. They argued fear drove her. Cindy threatened Greg, and Nadine, with no prior record, was just a mom protecting her child. Greg testified, torn between love and guilt. He helped reload but believed his mother was saving him. The jury wasn't swayed. After deliberation, they convicted Nadine of first-degree murder and handed down death. Greg got life as an accomplice, serving 27 years before parole in 2009. But Greg's story didn't end there. Freedom was fleeting. By 2011, now called, James was back inside for drugs. He vanished post-release only to resurface in 2014 in Montana, arrested for kidnapping and assault. His victim, Kathleen Mitchell, fled Oklahoma abuse, but he tracked her to Bozeman. For 2 months, he held her captive in a motel, beating and threatening her and her kids. She escaped by whispering, "Help me," to 911 while he slept. He faced up to 10 years, plus Oklahoma parole violations. Records are spotty on his full time served. Meanwhile, Nadine fought from death row. How long did she delay her fate, and what was her last meal? The execution details are coming up. Keep watching for the emotional finale. Death row, appeals and execution. Nadine entered Mabel Bassett Correctional Center, launching 19 years of appeals. She claimed her nickname biased the jury. Her confession was coerced, and she wasn't mentally fit. Courts, including the Supreme Court, rejected every one. Execution was set for December 4th, 2001. For her last meal, Nadine requested barbecue ribs, onion rings, strawberry banana cake, and cherry lemonade comfort foods in her final hours. Strapped to the gurney, her words were surprisingly soft. "To the family, I want to say I'm sorry for all the pain I caused you. Please forgive me. You must forgive to be forgiven." Then, quoting scripture, "To live is Christ, to die is gain. Thank you, Jesus." In the witness room, Cindy's daughter, Brandy Fields, sat with loved ones. Through tears, she said, "If she really meant it, you have to forgive even though it's very hard. It does a little bit, but it doesn't bring back my mom. I wish she thought of this before she did what she did." For Brandy, closure was partial. Greg's parole loomed. "I'm glad this part is over. She's got what the court handed down." Angled. At 9:13 p.m., 2 minutes after the drugs flowed, Nadine was pronounced dead at 61. She was Oklahoma's first woman sentenced to death post-reinstatement and the last executed, following Wanda Jean Allen and Marilyn K. Plant earlier that year. Lois Nadean Smith's story is a haunting blend of maternal obsession gone lethal, a brutal crime that shocked Oklahoma, and a quiet end on death row. From mean Nadine's tough upbringing to her unyielding protection of Greg, it all culminated in Cindy's tragic death. Her last meal and words offered a glimpse of regret, but for Cindy's family, the pain lingers. What do you think? Was justice served, or did mean Nadine get what she deserved too late? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Did her apologies feel genuine? If this gripped you, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more death row stories. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there.